Hi, and welcome to BJ Maybe's YouTube channel. We should be live now, myself and Gordon. So
your Eureka sign isn't up, or you're not full screen. Hello?
according to my system, it is.
No, it's just I'm looking at you there. Yeah, see, I can see your mouse now. So wherever you are, yeah. Let me try refresh.
That white screen is actually the screen there.
Yeah, I can see
for the chat. That's the chat screen, and we're actually live. Anyway, hi and welcome to PJ Maybe's YouTube channel. I'm here with Gordon again to try and finish off Eureka Season 2. Try and get through it because we need to finish in roughly an hour.
Yep. Well,
fingers crossed.
Cool.
So, shall we start? We'll straight get right into it, Gordon, and try and finish off. We were actually family reunion.
All right. So episode 7, season 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, family reunion. That's the one with Fargo's grandfather. And I must admit, it's the first time I've liked a Fargo. I like this Fargo.
So what did you like about him that you don't like about the younger Fargo?
He wasn't as annoying. He's a bit brisk and things like that, but he wasn't annoying. I think that's what the big thing was. I find every time Fargo comes on or the house talks, I just cringe. It's just too cringe-worthy.
What I liked about this episode is that I think it actually kind of explains a little bit about why Fargo is the way he is. In that, he never had. So his granddad obviously was like one of the best, a brilliant scientist, right? But before he could become brilliant, he ends up falling into this, he gets frozen, and then all of his research gets taken over by the other guy, and then he just becomes known as this like failure, the guy that just ran away. And so the Fargos always had that legacy. So I'd imagine that Fargo's dad would also have had that sort of legacy on him. And then when Fargo's dad dies in an accident, that legacy passes on to Fargo. So it's almost like self-fulfilling. He is seen to be like that, therefore he fills that role. Which is interesting because if he hadn't gone into the deep ones, Fargo might have been totally different. So
I say to an extent, yes. However, I think the way they've written the character is a Marmite character.
Yeah.
You either love him or you hate him, and unfortunately, every time he opens his mouth and every time he does something, you're just sitting there thinking they've put the cringeworthy aspects of it onto him. Because if anybody's going to be cringeworthy, it's going to be him.
Yeah.
And they obviously try to end it by at the end when he says, "That's just because your grandfather got his names up." He says, "Aye, but I'm still a Fargo." I could understand where they were going with it, but I don't know. I found the grandfather, even though he was grumpy and quite Estonian type, as in this is what I'm going to do, and that is it. I am Dr. Fargo, and very pompous and stuff like that. It just, he came across as a nicer character. So although he was a pompous character, he came across as a less annoying, pompous character. Whereas I think Fargo comes across as an annoying character. You can write an annoying character that can work as long as you realise that, yes, they can be annoying, but that's not the be-all and end-all. Whereas I find that everything about Fargo is annoying. It's almost like they've put every annoying aspect of every character in the one.
It is interesting. I know what you mean. And I think with Fargo, it's the difference between the two of them is obviously confidence. Or you could say a few things, but I think what I mean by that is a lot of the stuff that stems from Fargo is insecurity, right? And that's what leads to a lot of his actions. Whereas Pierre Fargo, the grandfather, I don't think he's that different from Fargo, but he's obviously confident in his knowledge and his ability, and that's And so instead of coming across as, it comes across as arrogance, whereas with Fargo, it just comes across as a bit cringy, maybe. Maybe that's not the whole thing, but there may be something there. Overall, I thought the episode was good. I
quite enjoyed the episode, I must admit. Yes, it was a good episode. And did you know the guy, Tyne Runyon, the one that played Grandpa Fargo, was another Stargate alumni, but he was in Stargate Universe.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Dr. Crane or Kane. I only watched Universe once because I don't like dark humor or dark entertainment. Mm-hmm. I watched it once because it was Stargate, but never got into it because it was just one of those ones where it was too dark for me. So I don't like my stuff too dark. I like entertainment. But he was in it, and but then again, the next person who is the only person in the TV show so far has dropped below the Fargo limit. Fargo's my least favourite character. There's no a point in it where I've thought, oh, that makes him a wee bit more endearing. But this one here, E=MC, episode 8, there was a character in it who I disliked more than Fargo. So if I had a choice between Fargo and Zane, Fargo would actually get the option. The new character, Zane, I just did not like.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
He played it well enough. I think he was meant to be the obnoxious, but he was just obnoxious. He wasn't the typical character they always put in, as in he's so brainy, he just doesn't realise that he's just obnoxious because nothing can challenge him. So it comes out as obnoxious. To me, it just came out as obnoxious. None of the other endearing parts they always put into the type of characters. Whereas Dr. McKay, arrogant, cocky to the point, and he had an endearing side. Whereas this character, Zane, no, I just could not find anything I liked about him.
No, I must admit, I didn't. I remember when I first watched it, I didn't really like him. Coming back to it though, after a lot of years away from the show and then watching it again, I didn't mind him as much. I must admit, I didn't like him more when I first watched it, I would say, but now I don't mind him as much. But I can understand why you wouldn't. I think it becomes I feel like he's trying too hard. Like it almost feels like the actor's trying too hard to be like that level of obnoxious, it comes across as a bit too try-hardy, a bit disingenuous.
Well, I think he does come across as the obnoxious side, but they normally have an obnoxious character with a bit of endearment. So yes, he's obnoxious, but you realise why, because he's antisocial, this or that. No, he just seemed dignified. But the other thing I found funny about it was
the endearing part about him though is meant to be the fact that he stole the money to give back to the charity. So
I must admit, it did not endear me at all. He did it, so it's a case of until when he'll steal it again when it suited his purpose. That's all I thought about it when I thought that, because he did it because he thought that would get him off the hook.
No, he didn't do that at all, because he got caught. I think that's what sets up at the start of the episode is he's hacking into the account. He steals the money from like some banks or something. I can't remember where exactly. I think it's a bank, and he transfers that into it's the foundation. It's the foundation that used to give out the prize, but no longer gave it the prize because someone else hacked it and took the money. So what he did is he stole the money from the banks and gave it to this charity so that they could carry on giving out the awards and stuff like that.
Aye.
I guess that, kind of Robin Hood type figure, I guess they're aiming for.
I think that's what they were aiming for, but it just... It wasn't endearing enough to do it. However, the one thing I did find funny was not only was that guy, I don't even know his name, was in Stargate Atlantis. For a couple of episodes, he played just one of the background soldiers. He had a couple of speaking parts. He was also in Warehouse 13. I remember him in Warehouse 13, and he wasn't annoying at all.
Are you talking about this character here, the Zane Donovan guy?
No, not the Zane, the guy who played him. He's another one from Stargate Atlantis, Warehouse 13.
Right. Oh, okay.
He had, I barely remember him from Warehouse 13, and I recognise his face from Atlantis, but it was nothing big. So they only had maybe one episode in Warehouse 13, and he was maybe in a couple of episodes of Stargate Atlantis, and it was just background stuff. It only a wee bit here and there. But it was funny that, yet again, more Stargate people were in it. So obviously, because they were all filmed up in Canada and this was filmed up there, and they were bringing in guest stars in, it's just funny to see characters you recognise from the one franchise join. And this season was actually quite rife with it, I must admit.
Oh yeah. So this episode has one of my most favourite lines in it, of the entire series, actually, in the entire show. Do you know which one it is I'm referring to?
No.
It's the line when Henry
is it the one with Henry?
Yeah, it's a line from Henry when he obviously they're all dumb, right, because of the GABA inhibitor, right? Just had to remember what that was there. And he turns and looks to Jack and like totally deadpan. He's like, "Oh my god, I realised this is what it must be like for you all the time."
Yes, I remember that one. I must admit, I did find that funny.
That got me good.
You must feel like this all the time. The one that I did like in this was where the guy does the cafe.
Oh yeah, Vincent.
Vince, when he turned to Zane and says, "Who you waiting on?" And then Joe walks through, which I have no idea what Joe would see in him, I must admit. And Higme turns around and says, "You're one lucky man. Even I'm jealous," or something like that. It was almost a case of, she's gorgeous, even I'm jealous. Which I found it quite funny, but the fact is I couldn't understand what she saw in him at all.
Yeah, it did seem like a bit of a... It was a weird... he chatted her up, so I guess he's chatted her up, and he's shown the confidence, and maybe that's what it is. It's just the confidence that attracts her.
See, that's one of those old things people say. Aye, if you've got all these gorgeous looking women, if you've got the confidence to chat to them, they'll say aye, because that's not how it works. It's a case of, it's like chalk and cheese. She's ex-military, like to discipline and all this, and then he's this. I can't see how she would be even attracted to that. Someone, because of her background and stuff like that, I would have assumed she would have been someone who's more, not necessarily military, but with the discipline and the rules and stuff like that. Going for somebody who's completely opposite, I think that would actually, that goes against the grain of it, as it were.
I don't know if I'd agree with that. I mean, I think I get where you're coming from. What confuses me though is, like, her previous relationship was with Taggart, really, and then to go to Zane. I don't know. The thing with Zane is it just, the whole thing felt a bit like it
contrived.
Just rough. Yeah, maybe that's, is that a word for it? What annoyed me? Annoyed me, that's the wrong word. What I found strange about it is why they injected Zane into the series episode 8.
I said right at the beginning. Remember I said at the beginning, they seem to be trying to undo everything they set up. They did the Taggart one where it's Joe said to Zoe.
Zoe said to Joe,
it talked me out of it, and she turned around and says, "The age difference between him and you is the same as me and my dad." Oh, that did it. And you're sitting there thinking, she already knew that, so you're turning around and saying she didn't realise.
I don't know.
It's almost, it was a case of, right, now we've actually said we've taken that, now she has to have a boyfriend, or we need to have a love interest. and then so we'll bring this guy in. In the middle of it. Do you know what I mean?
I think
it's almost like we need a young guy star to get in there.
I think if they brought him in earlier in the season, that might have made a bit more sense. But then, it's quite a packed season, so it would be quite difficult to actually have brought him in.
I know, but just the idea of bringing him in for any reason, why they brought him in, I still don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they wanted to bring somebody in, why not just have him as one of the scientists that was out doing the other bits and pieces, and he just got brought in, and he was more of a mainstay. They didn't need to suddenly make it a criminal that's getting dragged in and all that. And
I'll have to watch the extras on that one again, because I'd like to know the thinking behind the director. I'll have to watch that again. But
I would assume it's somebody said that they needed to have a relationship for Joe.
No, that'd be my guess as well. No, that's my guess as well. It's like they want to hit a demographic, and they want a young couple in the show or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But then the counter to that is obviously you've not seen it, but then that all flips later on.
I've not seen that yet.
But obviously, no spoilers,
No, I know. But the thing is, I must admit, it was one of my least favourite episodes, just for the simple fact is, didn't like the character at all. The situation, I just felt as if it was a wee bit.
I thought it was hilarious the way. I mean, I know you don't like Stark that much at all, but when he gets dumbed down and he's
to me. That was funny,
not even,
because he's always very dull, dour-faced, and then his thumb comes up and says, "You're normal." Pull my finger, and you know what I mean, it was. You could just imagine someone who was this childish, and he's made sure he's controlled it to the point he goes more juvenile, and it's pull my finger, and he's still the stoic type, but it's juvenile stuff, and that's the stuff he's had to actually keep down, because you can know. I know a couple of my managers in work, they're this straight-laced, but outside work they're absolute nutcases. You wouldn't know it if you only knew them in work. So you get people like that, but I think the fact is they didn't play him as suddenly he was doing all these stupid things, like scooting around like he was playing Marco Polo. Marco, and wee silly things like that. Whereas they sort of just made him juvenile, but it was still him. Still acted the same way until he got there, and then it was pull my finger or that type of thing. I enjoyed that aspect of it. It gave a lighter side to him without making it a stupid side. Whereas I think the Alison one, I'm still in charge, and she just seemed scatty-brained. Rather than, see what I mean? So everybody else seemed to be more juvenile, whereas she just turned scatterbrained rather than juvenile.
Yeah, I take your point on that. I think there was a bit of inconsistency with the way people behaved. But I mean, if you wanted to pick at it, you could say, well, it's like he was acting like one type of dumb, and this person was acting like another type of dumb. So it was like different types. But then you're basically saying, you're assuming that the chemicals would affect different people's brains and different.
I suppose so to that, but it's almost like they wanted everybody to be more juvenile. But they decided, right, when you were a juvenile, you were scatterbrained. When you were a juvenile, you were this. When you were a juvenile, you were that. Took nothing into account of their character. So their character could still be juvenile, but still not be as brainy. But it just seemed a wee bit scattergun, as in you get this and you get that and you get this and this is how you act. And you're sitting there thinking, but that's nothing to do with my character. I know, but I want you, because you're always straight-laced, do this. I want you to act like this. You're always stoic, no, do this. You want to do the stupid jokes. You're the one that does this. I want you to act like this. And it was almost like a case of you have to flip to be your opposite. And it just seemed some of them were like that and some of them weren't. And you're sitting there thinking, But I didn't like it. And the only reason I didn't like it was because the new character, Zane. That was why I didn't like that one.
Okay.
However, the next one I loved.
Sight Unseen.
Sight Unseen, I thought was hilarious.
No,
they did some really well opticals on that. No, I know how they did it. It was so simple, straightforward to do it. Like, for instance, half his body missing. Easily enough done because it's blue screen, and obviously the suit's just got blue screen thingy and then it's thing. But it was still so well done. I thought it was, considering what, many years ago was it to be written?
2007.
2007, so 13 years ago. Not bad considered.
For a low budget.
For a TV show. For a TV show. It was well done.
I liked the episode a lot. I like the fact that they introduced a new love element for Carter with in the form of is it Katie? Oh, I forgot.
I think it was Katie. She's a wee bit ditzy to an extent. The laundrette owner.
Oh, I think it begins with K.
I'm sure it's Katie or Kathy.
I'll tell you in just a second because it's bugging me that I've forgotten her name. But oh no, can't find her. Homeowner.
IMDb will be able to tell you.
Yeah. Fullcast. But I quite liked her in the episode. I actually liked her as a character, to be honest.
I thought
she was really good.
She was brought out. The character was fleshed out, and it wasn't just a case of they just dumped her in and this is what she's going to be.
What I liked about it was, well, actually, the thing, there's two things, right? What I like about it and what I hate about it was that they brought her in, and I really wanted to see that go somewhere. So, like, this is one of the things I didn't like about Eureka. Well, one of the criticisms I have of Eureka as a whole is they would often start things but then not finish it, and so you would often be left with like things that just never got closed out. And I think this is definitely one of those cases where the love interest obviously started with Carter and her, and I'll get the name of her eventually. I've totally forgotten what she's called though. I'm sure it was Kate or Katie or something like that. Maybe. Anyway, whatever. But they start this sort of interest, and you kind of want to see that go somewhere. But then, come season 3, it's kind of gone.
It's like, almost
there's no closure. There's no like, oh hey like my aunt died and left me like £10 million. So I'm off to California. Bye Jack. You know, it's like even that would have sucked, but you know it would have been like really rubbish writing. But even that would at least have given you closure on it, so you could be like, oh well, that's done, and then you can enjoy the rest of the show. Whereas the rest of the time, I'm always thinking, where is this going? Is you know, should I be invested in this character? Is it coming back?
It was almost like obviously I don't know what happened with Zane at the moment but I can't even find her name.
Yeah, I'm looking at this.
It wasn't Stephanie.
No,
it's not Stephanie. Stephanie was one of Zoe's friend, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Is it the one that's marked as homeowner in IMDb?
Don't think so. Oh wait a minute. Actually, is that her? No, that's not her.
No, I was sure it was in Battlestar Galactica, the one that played homeowner, but I'm trying to think. She was in Fringe. I recognised her from Fringe, but I'm actually trying to see Eureka. Where is Eureka? I can't see any notification for Eureka there. Smallville, Fringe. Aye, so I can't see it. I can't see Eureka there at all.
Oh, is it Kelly? That's it.
Kelly.
Sonia Bennett.
That's it. Right, so I couldn't see it, and then the IMDb one I was looking at.
From Canada?
Anyway. But the thing is, I thought her character was quite good. She was a wee bit ditzy. Super smart, but not one of these ones that had it all together. She still had the wee ditzy bits. Like, well, she was... her relationship, how to deal with relationships, knows if a case of, I'm a woman, I know what I'm doing. And it's all used ditzy guys that are canny to trip over yourselves and stuff like that. She just seemed a wee bit unsure and ditzy that way. I mean,
I think more genuine real life then.
More exactly. Whereas in the TV, you usually find that the guys are the ones that are always tripping over their feet and doing silly things and stuff like that, trying to attract someone of the opposite sex and they're interested in. Whereas the woman's always the confident one. You very rarely get one who's not as confident. Whereas I thought this one, it actually portrayed it more realistically, as in a person who is not completely confident, not a man or a woman, just a person who's got confidence issues.
No, I that's what I think I liked about the episodes. Is it felt. I mean, obviously it's a show and all that, but it felt more genuine in the way it was portrayed. I think that's why I liked it, because it felt like there was a lot of scope there for that to sort of play out throughout the rest of the seasons, and to see that develop. It's just I just really wonder why. It really confuses me that they would, as directors, you would bring in these new cast members, not even in the first quarter of the season. Like literally, we're down to the last 5 episodes now of the season.
And then they basically come in
and with presumably what must have been the knowledge that they weren't going to be able to hang around for season 3.
See, I thought they were bringing them in because they were trying to change the dynamics, because they thought season 1 was okay, but some of the characters didn't quite work. So maybe we'll phase them out and they bring these new ones in. It's like the cousin Oliver from Married with Children. Cousin Oliver was the kid they adopted, the Bundys adopted. He was in it for about 5-6 episodes because he was meant to breathe new life. And eventually he goes upstairs one day and he never comes back down, gets never mentioned again. Do you know what I mean? It's basically they bring something in to add a bit of spark or whatever, hoping it's going to go forward, and then it goes nowhere. So it just basically goes and then boom. So they drop it as if it never happened. And I hate the fact that they just drop things.
Yeah,
cousin Oliver syndrome. I would have rather his mother and father came back and they weren't the wasters they were, and they actually decided when they lost their kid they had to get things together, come back and take them away, even if it was in the one episode. So it was basically a case of didn't it just disappear? Basically, there was a slow sort of resolution to it.
Yeah,
I think that would have been better. So it would have.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Moving on, shall we?
Aye. But I must admit, I quite enjoyed the sight unseen one. That was a funny episode.
Good episode. One of the better ones, personally.
I definitely think it was. But it was also gearing the Henry character to be less likable. Although, when they're trying to make him less likable, and then they make him likable, it's almost a case of like they don't quite know how to gradually make him less likable, because he deals with the same people, talking about slightly different things, but in one time he's almost and then the other time he's happy and no problem, I'll get that and sort that. And it's almost a case of they don't understand the layers of trying putting someone lower into the he's getting worse and worse and worse. Like he would say something to Jack, and it was like an offhand comment, as in, don't worry about it. Don't you worry, it's all fine. And then another time Jack will ask him something, and he'll say it's all fine, but it's a bit snippier. And you're sitting there thinking, and you see Jack looking at him as if to say, is everything okay? But he just puts it off because they're in the middle of something else. So there was a different levels of, sometimes he seemed to be snippy, sometimes he seemed to be overly helpful and try to jump in, as if it was just wee slight contractions I noticed just here and there. One minute he's nice as pie, next minute he seems a wee bit snippy, and there's no seem to be anything in between the two that would throw him a wee bit over the edge. It's just as it gradually was getting through the seasons, the few episodes so far, he's meant to be getting less likable. But it's almost like they don't want to go that far. So they make him slightly less likable, then make him likable again. And it's as if they don't have a a roadmap where they wanted his character to go, and I think that's what failed him later on. But I did like that one. But however, Terry Rothsey was in the next episode. Diane Lancaster, the Dr. Fraser from SG-1, the God is in the details. I thought this was quite interesting, and I thought the way they were going, although they were telegraphing it, I thought that's what they were going to do. Even though I knew they were telegraphing it, and it's more than likely not. But because he played it so well, I thought, is it to do with that? You know what I mean? As in, was it the minister? Because normally what they do is they introduce a couple of characters, and you know they're going to be the mainstay in the character for something, whatever's happening. They're either going to be the victims of it, or they're going to be perpetrators of it. Whereas the minister's there and all this, and she's talking about this, and she's trying to get, and then suddenly all these things happen, and they all point to God.
So what I like about this episode was a long time ago I read on a forum that someone had managed to link the Eureka universe with the Doom universe. So you know the video game Doom, right?
Yes. Aye.
And it was linked through this episode because obviously in this episode she finds what she thinks is the portal.
The portal.
Hell. What the way they twist it is they argue it's actually no, it's the portal to hell. And what they say is basically actually the Doom universe is set a few years in the future, and someone finds this portal and reactivates it, and they end up being, and funnily enough, they become the Doom guy. And anyway, it was just like a bit of fan fiction, you know, like maybe a couple paragraphs. But I always thought it was funny for that. And
well, I thought they were going to link it to the Fringe universe.
Oh well,
because that's on the alternate universe. So the doorway, it was maybe the doorway.
I do wish it's interesting though, because when again, this is the trap that shows like this fall into, I think, which is they've invented this piece of technology, and Henry's like, this could literally be the doorway to everything, right? I mean, that's a big deal, and all he does is switch it off, right? So he switches it off. And then that's it. It's never heard of again.
Exactly.
Surely you send a probe through, or I don't know, investigate it, or
or move it to somewhere a bit more secure, like maybe in the middle of nowhere. So when they switch it on, it's not going to actually do all these bits and pieces that it was messed around with, the glass and the sound.
I presume they moved it into Eureka's secure.
Yes, but if they decided they wanted to do it and it was maybe a wee bit because of the sound energy, they thought, better move it.
Well, they could also drop it into the bottom of that the nuclear testing pit. And
Area 14 or something like that.
Section 14, was it?
Section 14. I got the number right. I just got the thing. But I quite enjoyed this episode, I must admit.
Yeah, good episode.
Cerra in it was great because I knew she was in it for a reason.
I liked the episode.
They could have actually gone either way with the minister or her, or she was maybe the victim of it, and she was the one, or else she would have been the one that helped him with it. But it turns out she was the one causing it. Quite enjoyed that. I
liked the aspect of it because it wasn't. American shows have a tendency to be very like, of course, religion is the answer, right? In your face, in your face, in your face. And this show kind of struck that balance. I felt it wasn't too overly, it wasn't in your face with it. Obviously, it was all about religion, so there had to be some aspects of that in there. I thought it dealt with it quite tactfully, and the way I thought they dealt with it quite tactfully was actually by having Carter. Unlike almost all other shows I know about, Carter was actually kind of. Sorry, let me preface that. All other shows that are light-hearted, Carter was actually like on the fence at the start. He wasn't like, oh yeah, like religion, church, yeah. Oh, the game, is on, and I've got, so it's like actually he's kind of like more step back. He's a bit more chilled out, but which I thought was, I found that when I was watching that as a younger person, I found that quite novel because it always seemed to be one extreme or the other. Like you were either deeply Christian in most shows, or you were like basically,
or you wouldn't want to go near it. Whereas he says, yes, I don't mind it. However. Sunday's the game day, and I want to watch it.
Yeah, no, it's nice. So, I like the whole thing for that reason. I thought it was quite.
I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was quite an interesting one. And the fact is, but as you said, the fact that they just switched it off and that was it.
Yeah.
They always do that with these ones. They always find something and then they switch it off and never hear from it again.
I liked Henry's partaking in it because what's interesting about so I ignoring Henry's overall plot theme, he is obviously a brilliant scientist, but I love the fact that he still goes to church.
And also the what if that door is exactly what she thinks it is.
But what I like about that is that, I mean, this is just a personal thing, but I'm not that religious myself, but I do like to have an open mind about things, and I like the notion that what he shows is he's very open-minded about it, and that still that there is questions unanswered by science, and that somehow that could be, there might be an answer. And I like the fact that Henry's open-minded enough, even as one of the, probably the best or most brilliant scientist in Eureka, right? He's still open-minded enough to be able to do that and have that. And that to me is so fundamental to science and good science. And that's another reason that Henry is one of the more.
Do you know what I thought as well? I thought they were thinking how they were going with Henry. They might not be able to bring Henry back. So that's why they wanted to introduce another super scientist. This young hip guy, Zane, sort of overlap it because they didn't know what was going to happen. Because they could have gone one way and to the point whereas no matter what they did, people wouldn't accept it as an audience because they built this character up and then they might have actually gone right over the edge to the point where they wouldn't be able to bring the character back.
Maybe.
So,
but overall, the episode, I like the sort of the apocalypse sign, the blood turning to water and all that kind of stuff. That was quite
I thought it was quite humorous, and I must admit, it was a wee bit. I suppose a wee bit mysterious, as it were.
If you were going to say predictable, I was going to hit you there.
No. It was a wee bit more mysterious because it did leave you open-ended until you found out what caused it. It wasn't as predictable, I suppose, was the way I was going. That was one of the few I didn't find you knew what way it was going. Yes, you knew Terry Rothley was brought in, so it had something to do with her. And the minister was brought in, so it had to be something to do with her. But you didn't know what one was one causing it, one try to stop it, or was it just a case of coincidental around these two, or you didn't know. But because there was the religious, it seemed to be pointing it towards the minister. And I thought, I can't remember if she's been in it before or she's in it afterwards. I don't think she was in it the rest of this season, which is a shame because she's actually quite a good character. They should have actually kept her in. Because they don't need to, because she's a scientist. It's not as if I think she would have been better than the Beverly character. As maybe the minister side,
she should have been the baddie, you mean?
No. As the
baddie.
To replace the baddie. Once Beverly gone, they would have needed someone to talk to because of all the stuff that's happening. She would have been good because she was a scientist, so she would understand what they're going through. Plus, she's a faith. Plus, she's good. She's easy to talk to, and I think she would have worked as well in that because it would have given expedition to certain aspects that had happened because they could actually just have them talking to the minister, which effectively is talking to the audience saying, well, I'm doing this. This is how I'm feeling, without having to actually try and show it. Having a minister or having a session with a psychologist could have been a way around it. But I thought she was a good character. It's a shame they didn't use her more. I think she would have actually been a good character to have as a background character or a character, incidental character, only maybe in a wee bit here and there. Not a main character, but a recurring character. I think she would have been good at.
The only problem with that is that they've got so many main characters as it is having side characters as well is almost impossible.
But yeah, as the good thing is, the side characters, because you know what it's like in a TV show, they're always going to have to bring in some other people to do this part and that. Why not have recurring characters that do it? They don't need to be starring roles. They've got a recurring character who does this bit, and that's what they do. They don't need to have stories about them, because she's already had a story about the minister. You know, she's a minister. She was into science, and she's decided to. So you already know about her. So she's just there to help other things go along.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed that one. You want to be heading soon, so we'll fly through the next couple of episodes, right, and then we'll just have a Man-Eaters. I thought was funny.
I loved that show. I loved the episode. I thought it was hilarious.
That was just the fact that
stereotyping well up to 1, up to 11.
Aye, but the fact is, you knew at the end, Fargo's standing there going, "Yes," he's got his back to the camera. The first thing I said was, "He's wearing a mask." The first thing I said was, "He's wearing a mask."
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I thought one thing that was quite funny is in the final scenes when they're curing the spores, there's a picture when there's a picture of Alison, and they've got the close up of her looking at the screen, but they've also got another screen in the background, and she's there like saying, "Oh yeah, the spore count is going down." The screen in the background, however, is going. So they obviously had the old graphic from, they had the graphic of when the spore count was going up, and that was just looping on the back screen. So she's like, yeah, it's going down. Yeah, in the background, or it's basically not, it's staying high. I thought, yeah, they probably, that's one of the things, you might film that a million times and you never see that. You just
until somebody points it, and once you've seen it, that is it. You're going to keep seeing it. But yeah, these silly wee things that I must admit I didn't catch, but I thought the episode was funny.
Yeah,
just for the simple fact is a couple of them got it and they were getting chased and stuff like that. The part Fargo's walking around in front of him, step back, and I'm sitting there thinking, really? They got somebody like that? As if that would make any difference apart from anything else. To me, yes, they might have had one or two of the security guards a wee bit more brawn to actually, but
I feel like in my mind the story behind that was that Carter was like, can we just keep this low profile? And Stark is like, yeah, sure. Hey, Fargo, go around with a loudspeaker and just announce to the world that Carter is basically in the middle of this problem. Just as a bit of a get me back.
See, I must admit, I thought to an extent, but I thought he's probably turned round and said to Fargo, just stay with him, try and make sure women don't crowd him, knowing how he would react. Not telling him, so sort of turning around while Carter's there and saying, Fargo, go around with him, but keep it low, he just make sure women don't crowd him. Knowing fine well how he acts, so he actually said to Fargo in front of Carter, that's what I got the picture of, because you knew how Fargo was going to act. Same as you knew he was going to wear a mask. That type of thing. I think he's probably did that, and I thought, yes, it's probably him, but you're sitting there thinking, if I was Jack, I would have turned around and says, Fargo, just piss off. Because you're less than useless. I need to be packing and stuff like that, and these stupid things like that. Some of the good, funny parts I thought were taken away because of Fargo.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
But then again, I know I'm biased.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Uh-huh. If you don't like Fargo, then obviously Fargo is going to spoil the entertainment for you a little bit.
Yeah.
I need to go, so I'll just give you my verdict on the last two episodes, which are basically a two-parter anyway.
And Michael Shanks was in it.
Yeah. So all the glitters and a night of global dynamics. I'll just treat it as one. Overall, really enjoyed. I thought it was kind of a cool finale. Obviously, they're trying to save Kevin, and they've really sort of hyped up. And obviously, this is where the climax with Henry takes place, where it's like, has he actually become the bad guy? And it actually turns out, no, not really. He's actually wanting to help, but because everyone else has shut him out, that he's kind of being forced to take that action. The one thing I don't really understand though is, like, I suppose what they're trying to say is that because it's I've forgotten the son's name. Forgotten his name. What's his name?
Kevin.
Kevin, yeah. Because Kevin's life is on the line, and I suppose what they're trying to say is they're scared the DOD might find out and then take Kevin to experiment on him. They try to keep Henry out of it, but I don't understand because, like, literally Henry, you know, they've worked with Henry for however many decades, right? And they've trusted Henry with their lives on multiple occasions throughout the show. So then surely they know he can be trusted. And like they say themselves that Henry is the outsider. So I mean, can you really honestly think that if anyone's going to turn to the DOD and grass on them, it's going to be Henry?
No, and also the fact is, do you think Henry's going to go and work with the person who he knows caused the death of his love?
Precisely. Well, I suppose he does really in the end, but
the thing is, that was to me was totally unbelievable. Do you know what else was unbelievable? The way Alison acted.
Mm.
Can I say thingy? But if anybody says, "Well, we're just going to take your kid," and don't worry, they'll be taken after. Over my dead body. Oh, by the way, see if these two people take you, they're going to actually try and hurt you. Don't trust a word they say. That's what I would be telling my kids. I wouldn't be turning around and going, "Aye, that sounds okay, but I don't want it to happen." Back off. I would be shouting and bawling, telling you, "Oh, by the way, the only way you're doing that is over my dead body, and the only way you could do that is my kid will know if I'm not with you. The reason I'm not with you is because those two people killed me." And no matter what, I would actually be under no circumstances playing around and pandering. That would be, and you're sitting there thinking,
it did seem
you're acting more like an office manager to do with your child rather than actually a mother dealing with her child and how people are spraying her to take him off him.
Yeah, it did seem a bit. I felt like the final scenes with when Beverly and Alison fought, it just seemed a bit out of like order, because like surely you would have that fight right from the start. Why would you wait for your son to be taken away from you out of the room?
Yes, and then you start fighting.
Like, it's almost like she's like, "Oh yeah, that's fine. Actually, no, I changed my mind. You know, them abducting my son.
Now my son's actually away. I've decided I want him back." Yeah. And you're sitting there thinking, no. I would go for them. And literally they would know, my kids would know, if I ain't with you, that's because they've taken away those bad people there. Doesn't matter if he's been a nice person. If I don't go with you, he's taking you away, and whatever he says is a lie. They're not going to help you. They're going to do this. So yes, she might have actually been, I'm trying to make sure my child doesn't actually feel scared. No. If people are trying to take you away from your parents, feel scared.
I suppose what they were trying to set up there was the moment where Henry can basically reveal his hand that he's actually been good all along. But I don't know, I felt like that. I think if they'd just done that scene in a slightly different order, like not even rewritten it really, but if they'd just done it in a slightly different order where maybe the fight had happened at the start.
Yeah.
Right from the start. So they go down and then she's like, hell no. Slugs Beverly, they whack out. Henry steps in and is like, no, this is my plan, right? Or even just like maybe she sucker punches Beverly with like a glass ornament or something on the table, so it's like bang, knocks her out. And then Henry's like, whoa, no, what we're doing is this, and it's actually we're here to save your son, and this is how we're going to do it. That would have been a bit better, I think, just generally. Not the whole we are taking your son, and it's like, whoa, you know, if you're the good guy, what are you doing? Why are you saying we're going to take your son no matter what you want? And it's like,
but there's also the aspect of it. See, when at the end of it, and they're saying who's responsible, and Henry's the one who goes, "Well, it was me." I would have been sorry. It was him. Take him away and put him in prison. He's lied. He might have actually changed his mind, but no. To get to that point, the ends doesn't justify the means.
He did do it all to save Beverly. To basically Beverly. He did it all to save Kevin, which he did.
But no, to me, he did that. That was what he said after she managed to put a thing in the works, or they turned up. Up until they turned up and came in and tried to stop him, he says, "No, this is what I'm doing." And that's when he changed his mind.
No,
because he had no inclination anything else was happening, except he said he was.
No, I think his intention all along was to save Kevin. I think he brought Beverly along because he felt he needed to, perhaps because like she knew. I mean, she also. I think Beverly was manipulating them, because I don't think Beverly actually knew like who it was. Beverly was just pretending to know who it was, and then Henry actually tells her. He goes, "Oh, it's Kevin," and she's like, "Yeah, it's Kevin." He's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." So she pretends to know it all, right? So he thinks, "Oh, right, I need to bring her along because she knows what it's about." But in reality, she doesn't. So I think Henry the whole time is his only intention is to save Kevin. That's his intention, and he brings Beverly along because he thinks she knows stuff that he doesn't. So he feels that he has to. That was my impression.
I got the other ones that. Why would you bring someone you thought murdered the person who was the love of your life, who wasn't a scientist?
Well, that's precisely the point, because she has convinced Henry that she has knowledge of the Akashic field and all that kind of stuff, and that she has knowledge of how to save Kevin. That is set up in the discussion they have in the jail cell, very, very clearly, I think. And so he brings her along for that reason. But throughout, my impression was that throughout the whole time, Henry's purpose was to save Kevin. I think they tried to set it up a bit artificially, if I must say, that it was a bit on the fence. It's like, oh well, no, it's not actually about saving Kevin. It's about
see, I took it the other side. Then I took it the other side because I didn't get that impression at all. I thought they were trying to set him up to the point whereas, haha, we've caught you. Well, actually, I was doing a good thing.
So
okay, we believe you.
Point, if that was the whole point, why did he trigger off the system to bring the bunker down?
Because he wanted to be down at that point where nobody would get in. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but no. What I mean, what is Henry's? If Henry, if it was the evil Henry, right? So your argument is like basically Henry was being evil, right, or the bad guy. So the whole story, the whole purpose of the bad guys is they wanted to take Kevin to run experiments on him. That was the whole purpose of the association, or what they call the consortium.
Yeah.
If he wanted to do that, the easiest way to have done that would have been just to wait until Kevin is going into his house, knock out his mum in a car and drive away. The hardest way to do that would be to drop a bunker down, to the.
But they've got that plan, and that plan is the transporter.
But the transporter only takes you a kilometre away. Like, I mean,
no, 20 kilometres.
Even still, like in the time that it takes them to go there, drop, they could have driven away and be longer. They could have got a helicopter.
No, because as soon as you actually try and take them, then that's when problems could happen. Somebody interrupts you, the mother actually stops you, Jack turns up, somebody else, or the roads, anything could happen. That's the point. The easiest thing is to cut out the shortest, and the thing is getting them down there, and then that way you've got no interference.
So option one, kidnap a child and mother in at night when they're asleep with no resistance, and just drive out of town, probably with no resistance. Option two, create a hoax virus, program and defeat global dynamics systems to make it think there's a fake virus,
which took about all of 2 seconds.
Convince the sheriff that there is a fake virus. Convince Nathan that there's a fake virus. Have all that. Then trigger the bunker to fall down.
But that was an automatic thing.
And then rely on the fact that you've got a teleporter system that might work.
Oh no, they were convinced it would work. No, but see, the thing is, the convincing the sheriff is like turning around and telling a kid that the Easter Bunny's real. That was the difficult. Once the thing was triggered, all those other things went into operation. It's not as if this or this. They just get dropped down, and then they've got the time to get it done.
I don't buy that in the slightest. Like, I mean, if you honestly think that like kidnapping someone by creating a hugely elaborate fake disease, dropping them in a bunker 100 meters, and then teleporting them only 20 kilometers away is going to get you away faster than just getting in a car and driving away. Nah, I'm sorry. Or even just get a helicopter and fly off. Like, I mean,
you remember, you're leaving the security perimeter of global dynamics. Remember how they get into global dynamics? Over the invisible bridge, the security they have to get past. It's not like they're driving out the town.
No,
if they're in there, they have to actually get away because why Kevin was always in the place.
No, he wasn't.
He was always in getting tested with Stark.
Yeah, but then why not just kidnap him in his house? Like if like when he's at his house or at the school or like playing whatever on the street. Like
things like that. That's when you can't control it, and it's all about control. You control the situation. You've got the time to do whatever you could. See, I just didn't see Henry as being. No, the fact is, as soon as they turned up, he turned around and says, "Oh, I'm here to help." I believe you.
I think you've missed Henry's intention. I think the whole intention of Henry, right from this, because ultimately, if Henry's intention was to steal Kevin, why didn't he just do that? Like, why go to the whole length of, like, because he could have teleported him, right? Because he was ready to go. The only thing that stopped him was Nathan Stark comes in and says, "Don't do it." So why didn't Henry just go? Because then he would have achieved what he wanted to achieve. Kevin would have been teleported away, and that would have been it. So evil plan.
See, that point, that's when I see him. He's turned around and says, "Well, I'm actually only here to help, honest," and then changes his plans because he got caught. That's the way I saw it, and I must admit, it was the fact is there was no thing in between hand. I just saw them that this is the way he's going, this is the way he's going. There isn't even a nod that things like, don't panic, it's not what you think, and then going on. It's just a case of this is the way. But then again, I thought the Night of Global Dynamics was poor just because of the way the mother acted, Alison, and it was, to me,
a weak scene. Certainly.
It was a weak episode. I thought it was a weak episode for a finale. The one with the gold was better with Michael Shanks. The one that led up to all that, I thought was a better episode. But then again, Fargo nearly died, so I was really happy at that point, and then he gets saved.
Well, anyway, I'm going to have to shoot off at this point.
No problem. I'll just finish off here, I must admit, because and I'll just actually see what's happening next week.
I thought I heard a line today I thought would be quite good for you, because I know you say your sign off. I'm not old. I'm classic. Classic. It was there was another one that was old, not obsolete.
Now you could use that one when you're older, obviously.
Well, I'll keep hold of that one when I'm like 60 or something. Old, not obsolete. I thought it was quite good.
See, there you go. It's quite a good one. Maybe if I do a second channel, I'll have one and one there. Anyway, Gordon, thank you very much. And season 3 for next week.
Maybe.
At least the first 4 episodes. At least the first 4 episodes.
I'll send you a wee message about that.
But I've been on burn notice, so I've got things to watch anyway, and I'll just watch Shazam and Galaxy Quest and Serenity and a load of other stuff this week. So I've been busy. I just need to actually get them all written down and get them sorted. Anyway, Gordon, thank you very much for joining us again. And I'll see you next week. Yeah. Tuesday for a game of Magic.
Absolutely. All right, cheerio.
Definitely. Ta-ra. Right, so that's Gordon gone, and we have actually covered season 2. So, as I said, All That Glitters with Michael Shanks, I thought was the best of those 2 episodes. That was a case of there was something causing everything to go gold, and then it was crumbling. It caused issues with buildings and anything like that with the metal. The metal was turning to gold, then it was corroding and then collapsing. It got into a lot of the building work, so they had to spray it, and it suddenly went from being cracking and rotting to being perfect. I don't know how that would work. Surely if there were all the cracks and all that, they would still be there. But anyway, accordingly, they solved all that with a spray of a can. But Michael Shanks was good in it, as they would expect him to be in it. Like most of the other Stargate staff or people who have starred in it before. I quite enjoyed all that glitters, but Night of Global Dynamics I was less impressed with, just for the simple fact is the way the mother acted and the way Henry acted. I just thought the way I was watching it, I've watched it 2 or 3 times and I didn't see any difference throughout it. Henry was one of my favourite characters until they decided they wanted to change it, and then I thought they got to the point where no, it's unbelievable. But apart from anything else, the fact that Henry got to the point where once he gets caught, he tells him, "Oh, this is what I'm doing, honest." And to me, that's exactly what it felt like. Oh, I got caught. Honest, I wasn't trying that. I was trying this and I was doing that. But as Gordon says, it could have been a case I picked it up and differently because Gordon picked it up. The fact is, he was actually using that. But that's like turning around and going saying, "Well, I'm going to actually deal with drug dealers just to get a hold of insulin pens for my diabetes." And then as soon as I get caught with the needles, I'm just saying, it's because I'm diabetic and I was going to use them for that all the time. Didn't think of going anywhere else. I just went straight to the dealers. To me, actually going to the person that killed his wife, or was it his wife, or his lover anyway, whatever. He killed her. She killed her, or caused her to die, and Henry went to her for help to do something else. I just didn't buy it, and unfortunately, it was just one of those things. Anyway, we just flew through these last few episodes just to get season 2 finished with, and I'm sorry it's just a short video this time, but we will be back next week. We are hoping it'll be with Eureka. If not, it'll be a fortnight. So we're trying aiming for weekly for this, but at least we will we'll start season 3 of Eureka. I'm going to start season 3 of Eureka this week. Hopefully we'll get a video out next week about it, and if not, I'll see you in a fortnight. But remember, I'm not old, I'm classic. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more, and thank you very much. And PJ may be out.